Hey there. We are going to be looking at, in this lesson, another type of switch. We've looked at self switches in other lessons. We're going to look at a type of switch called an event-dependent switch. An event-dependent switch is used in gameplay when a player has to do a certain event in order for an event in a different place to be activated. So this is very different than a self switch where a player goes to the same event or character multiple times in a row and each time something new happens. This is, again, you have to do something. The player has to do something, a certain event, in order for an event in a different place to be activated. I'll refer to this as kind of cause and effect. So one place this can be used is maybe you have to talk to somebody before you're allowed to do anything else. So in my story right now, if I was to play my game, I kind of have a contradiction in a way, because if I play my game, I can go into the cave without knowing anything, okay? And I can just walk around randomly and be like, I've got no clue what's going on, okay? So that's problematic because if I do that, I don't even know my story. And as if you've been following my game, this is the girl that tells me the story. Welcome to the land of Nod. I hear you've been awoken from a bad dream. Your father has been taken. I say, what, my father? Is this some kind of bad dream? Nope, not a bad dream. You need to collect a key, some armor from a chest, and go into the cave to start your adventure. So without talking to her, I would have had no clue. So so in this situation, we're going to use a switch for this. We want to make it so that you have to talk to her before you're allowed into the cave, okay? So that's going to allow that to work. So I'm going to call her the cause. She causes the effect of being able to go into the door to happen. So the way that this works, first of all, is you should go to the effect point. So I need an event, something to do with her is going to affect the event at the door. So if I go to the effect, so she's going to be the cause, and she will affect the door. So a couple things you need to know about the effect point is you should actually have two scenarios, at least two scenarios there. What happens if I don't do the cause, and what happens if I do the cause? So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the effect point, the door. And I'm going to, so what you're going to need in this scenario is actually multiple event pages. So you might have more than two, but you're going to have at least two. So on the first one, what I'm going to have it do is what happens if I haven't done the cause. Okay, so if I haven't talked to her. So basically, I'm going to have it just talk to me. I'm just going to have it say, so it's going to insert, I'm going to have it show text, and it's just going to say, go and talk to the girl. Okay? So that's the first effect. So that's the effect if I haven't done the cause, if I haven't talked to the girl. So the second page should be, what if I have talked to the girl? Well, if I have talked to the girl, I now know I have to get weapons and armor, and I have to go into the cave to find my dad. So in that case, it's going to allow me to transfer. Okay, and I'm going to have a direct appointment to this location right here. Okay? Now, at the cause, we don't have to do anything. I've already made the story. Okay, so that's not a problem. But what we need to do is at the cause and effect point, we have to do one other thing. So what we're going to do is at your effect point, the first page will have no conditions. So saying go and talk to the girl, it will say that under all circumstances. Okay. However, what we want to do is on the second effect is what happens if I've talked to the girl. We want to have a different condition. So I'm allowed to, so in the second effect, which is transferring the player, if I've talked to her, I would like to basically make a condition on it. So the condition is, and switches are completely invisible. So this is the condition part. The condition is that if switch, and we can name these switches, okay? So I'm going to name, and you'll have a variety, you better name the switches, otherwise you might get confused in your gameplay. I'm going to say, I'm going to name switch 1 talked to the girl. So here's the idea. If the switch called talk to the girl is on, I will be able to transfer. So the last part of this working switch is if I go back to the cause point. So I talk to her, I need that cause point to also turn this switch on as an event. Okay? So I'll talk you through kind of the logistics here. So first of all, I'm going to go to her. I'm going to edit her event. She's still going to talk to me. I'm just going to get rid of this self switch for now. And after I talk to her, I have to have the event command, because you remember that at the effect point, I'm able to transfer only if the talked to girl switch is on. So as an event command, what I'm going to do in this case is now insert, not a self switch. Self switch is if it's at the same location multiple times in a row. She's going to affect a different one. So she's going to go to control switches, and she's going to turn on the talked to girl switch. So that's an event. Okay? So she turned on the talk to girl switch. So that's happening at the cause point. She turned on the switch. And at the effect point, there's two things that happen. Either the switch isn't on, and it's going to tell me that I need to go talk to her, or if I've talked to her, then the effect will be the switch is on and that I've met the condition of the switch being on, and it will let me. Let me just show you that it works as a switch, and then I'll show you one other scenario here, okay? So, play my game. So right now, if I try to go up to the cave door, all it tells me is go and talk to the girl. Okay? There's no other option. Go talk to the girl, go talk to the girl, go talk to the girl. So that was the first option under the effects, right? So that's the effect point. If I go to my cause point, I want her to cause a different effect, and I talk to her. She's going to tell me the whole story. But in addition to the whole story, what she just did as an event command was she turned on the switch called talk to girl. So now if I go up here, because I've talked to her and I want to move in, there we go. It lets me in. So it's a really nice way to use switches. It makes it so that you have to do a certain event in order for an event in a different place to be activated. So another type of talking to a person type switch is maybe you have to talk to somebody before you get something, or before you can talk to somebody else. So let's pretend randomly in my story I've got a sister and a brother. So here's a sister, okay? And I want to make it so that your brother, who's over here, here's your brother, you have to talk to your sister before your brother will give you a key, for example. Okay? So she's the cause point, he's the effect point. So on his effect point, I need two scenarios. What happens if I don't talk to her? So I can't get a key from him until I've talked to her. So she will cause me the ability to get a key from him. So I'm going to go to the effect point. I need two scenarios. So I'm going to create two event pages. Now recognize the graphic disappears. So I'm going to have to bring in a graphic again. Okay, so that's my brother twice. Now the first effect is if I haven't talked to her. So if I haven't talked to her, I'm going to have him say, you have to talk to your sister first. It's just the way she is. Okay, whatever the story is, okay? The second effect is what if I have talked to her? And remember, I was going to be able to get some sort of key from him. So in this case, he's going to say, hey, now that you've listened to her, here's your key. Okay? And he will give you a key. So we're going to insert, I don't know, getting a key. So change, I think it's an item. Okay? Yeah, so here's a door key. Okay, maybe it's going to be useful in your gameplay. So there you get your key. Next, we have to make it so that the cause will make that effect happen. So in order for that to work, first of all, we have to put a condition, not on the first one. Nothing makes this effect happen. It happens no matter what. But if I talk to her, we're going to put a condition on here that if the switch, let's call it talked to sister, if the talked to sister switch is on, you will be able to get the door key. Okay? So now the only thing I need to do with her, she's the cause. The cause needs to be able to activate the second effect. So if I go to her, I'm going to have her say something simple, get a key from your brother. Okay, but more importantly, she's also going to, because she's the cause, she needs to turn on a control switch called talked to sister. That will activate the second effect. Okay, so let me show you that it works, and then just one other thing that you might be interested in as far as a contradiction goes. But it does work. So here we go. I can go up to my brother, and because I haven't activated the second effect, it's just going to continually tell me you have to talk to your sister. It's just the way she is. Go talk to your sister. Go talk to your sister. So I talk to her. She says, get a key from your brother. Now she turned on a switch which activates the second effect, and he'll say, now that you've listened to her, here's your key. Okay, and here's the problem, is I have not set a self switch. Probably after I get one key, I probably want him to do something else, so I can set a self switch. But the idea here is I now have 10 door keys. So that's a little bit of a contradiction. So if you wanted to, you can now, once you understand this, you could set a self switch on his second event. So after he gives you a key, he's going to activate a self switch, and I'll make a third page that says if the self switch is on. So if I've gotten the key, then he will say something like, are you selfish? I've already given you the key. Now go find Dad. Okay, really weird story, but now you can see that it will be working in all cases. So if I go up to him, the first effect happens. Go talk to your sister, go talk to your sister. It's just the way she is. If I go talk to her, she says, get a key from your brother, which activates the second effect, which says, now that you've listened to her, here's your key, which now activated a self switch. So if I go back to him now, he'll say, are you selfish? I've already given you the key. Now go find Dad. And he'll just say that over and over. Okay? So that's an introduction to switches.